Hello everyone, this is Stranger Haunts here, back with another video, and this will be the first episode of Wave 2 for my Spirit Halloween Legacy series. So I am back, and hopefully better than ever.
Are you sure about that?
But anyways, for today's episode, we'll be going back in time to the big old year of 2016. This is a year that a lot of people kind of like to some extent, but it's also a little divisive. There's some people that absolutely love this year, and others who just feel like it's really mid. Me personally, I think this is a very good year for spirits. I mean, the ISCs that year were incredible. The clock tower was so imposing. I think that's still the tallest theme that spirits ever had in their entire history, so I like it for that reason. And the hotel just had so much atmosphere to it. It was so sick. It had this kind of 1940s look to it. Really cool themes. My only complaint is that the props were a little hit or miss, I feel. A lot of the props that year were just basic graveyard props, and we got some cool ones in the mix, but for the most part, again, things were kind of generic. But despite all of that, there were still some really good props that year, and in today's episode, we'll be taking a look at one of them. Now, what prop could that be? Well, the prop in question is the 2016 Boogeyman animatronic, which was manufactured by Techie Design. So this guy's pretty cool. He's very unique, and I think his design fits very well for a Boogeyman type of creature. His audio is incredible, it's very creepy. Again, his look is great, his animation's very fitting. He didn't do a whole lot, he just kind of shook his head around, and his singular eye lit up red, and I think he had, like, blue LEDs in his hands as well. But again, not a ton going on with him, but he still had such a good presence, especially in that hotel theme. And I think he was a really solid prop overall. I think he still holds up to this day quite well. But I know he also has a pretty good following too, and there's a lot of people that want to see him come back eventually, and I think it will happen too. When, I'm not too sure, but hopefully sometime soon. But anyways, for today's Legacy flashback, we've got the new for 2033 Legacy Boogeyman remake. The designs are pretty similar in some ways, but there's also some differences too. The biggest difference is that the head has a new sculpt. So the original just had one singular eye, but for this remake, I chose to give him this really creepy kind of, almost like a spiderweb cocoon kind of looking face, where he has like all these eyes strewn about, kind of just poking out. He kind of has like a spider-like appearance, which works well for a boogeyman, since they kind of manifest people's fears. And his mouth is a lot more agape. He has all these teeth and a very scary, gross-looking tongue. But yeah, like, I try to make his design a lot creepier, and I hope I succeeded in that, but if not, then I greatly apologize. This is kind of, my own vision on what I think is scary for Boogeyman. But the other difference is his stance, too. He's in a walking pose, which a lot of props have nowadays, just to kind of give him more stability, since he is a pretty big prop. And speaking of which, the main difference, I'm gonna get to this already, the main difference between, the remake and the original version is that the remake is now 8 feet tall. So the original one was only 7 feet tall, which is still very big, especially for the time. Like, back in 2016, that was kind of unheard of when it came to props. So, yeah, the original was already pretty big, but this remake will be even bigger, which I think works pretty well. Another difference, though, is the animation. So just like the original, his head will shake side to side and kind of bob up and down, just like the original did, right? But for this remake, there's going to be a few differences. So, during his activation, his arms will raise up in a very slow motion, kind of just to look imposing and creepy, I guess. Sort of like he's trying to tower over you. And in addition to that, he'll have a built-in projector, just like the Reagan prop that Spirit Halloween released back in 2022, and the Sam prop that we got last year. So he's going to have that same projector feature, but the difference is that his will play an animation of some ghostly soul hands which will appear behind him, sort of writhing in pain. And the whole idea for this is that he's either manifesting your worst nightmares, or they're meant to represent the souls that he collected after all these years. And speaking of which, the whole idea is that this remake of Boogeyman is pretty much him after 2016. Throughout all this time, since we last saw him, he became more and more corrupted. And I think it works pretty well for the character, again. And what's good is that you can either have him in front of a wall or not in front of a wall, and I think he still works as a creepy, cinematic prop overall. so it doesn't really matter. Like, you could have him with the projector on or not. It's really up to you. The thing is, I don't think techies really used any projections in the past, so this will be kind of new for them, but I think they can pull it off. Now for the audio, it's pretty much the same as the original. The only difference is that I added some length to it, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same exact audio, because I think as it is, the original's audio was perfect and really creepy and iconic at this point. And yeah, I think it complements the prop very well, so that's why I didn't really think to change it that much. Anyway, speaking of which, let's get on with his demo. And that was the demo for my Legacy remake of the 2016 Boogeyman animatronic. So yeah, there are some differences, but I tried my best to keep what made the original so good, which is that whole head-shaking animation and, of course, you know, the audio. But I added onto it as well just to enhance his presence, to make him a lot, you know, more theatrical. And I'm pretty happy with how he came out. Something I should have mentioned before is that this is my first time showing you all my digital arts, because previously, in the first wave, I just had pencil sketches for my designs. But now I'm switching over to the digital medium, which is pretty fun to do. It's more time-consuming, but I like it because I can really capture my visions. So I'm really happy that I'm switching over to this medium, because I hope it'll provide much better concepts for you all. I should also include this, but his price will be $300, which is pretty expensive, but keep in mind he has the built-in projector, plus he's 8 feet tall, so he is a very big prop. Again, his proportions will be massive as well. And he has the head shaking and all this other stuff too with the LEDs as well. So I think, okay, it is an expensive price. I know it's pretty expensive, but I think it's pretty fitting, especially with the prices that Modern Spirit has. So I could see this being a pretty realistic estimate for how much he would be if he was released officially. So to summarize, his new animations will include the arm raise and the built-in projector, which isn't really an animation, but the projection itself is animated, so I guess that kind of counts in some ways, I don't know. But yeah, those are the two new additions, the two main additions when it comes to animation. Besides that, he'll also have the added light-up hands, which the original kind of had, but the hands on this version will light up even more. And besides that, he has more LEDs in his head since he has more eyes, and those all light up red, as you can tell. But yeah, when it comes to changes, there's not a whole lot, especially compared to the other flashbacks that I've made. But yeah, anyways, that was my take on this Legacy remake for Boogeyman, and I'm not sure how you all will feel about him. Feel free to let me know in the comments section. I know he is pretty different. His face is, like, pretty much unrecognizable, but I tried my best to keep what made the original design so good, which was that kind of creepy mummy-like appearance that he had. Anyways, that was my remake for the Boogeyman, and speaking of which, I forgot to include this, don't want to forget, but here's his box design, and I know it is pretty interesting because the original didn't really have the slime text on its box, but just keep in mind, this is how the box design will look for the other Legacy remakes, which, spoiler alert, will include the Legacy remakes of more modern props, because I know, ever since, I don't even know what, 2015 or so, the boxes have changed a lot, and a lot of the modern props have this really different design now. But even remakes of the modern props will get this, nice classic-looking slime font box design, which I'm happy about because I love the look of it, and I think it really fits this whole Legacy concept, since it's, you know, commemorating all the years that Spirit's been with us. So yeah, anyways, I don't want to drag this on for too long, like the previous episode with Barnyard Butcher, but anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you all later. Bye-bye.